Della! Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to make a few videos as well and share a few things that came with you. The first thing that I wanted to discuss in this video is to give you few, I don't know how to call them, if there are warnings, if there are recommendations or pointers, so I guess you will take it as you see fit. For some of you it may be a few things to consider, for others it may be recommendations, and for some of you it may be warnings that you need to take heed. So the first thing that I wanted to share is that there's been this movement in the quote-unquote mystical, magical communities, especially on YouTube, of teachers. And for me, you know, I truly believe that you are always led to the teacher that is calling, that you resonate with, that will teach you something. So you will always learn something, whether you learn that you shouldn't have gone there or you learn actual things that work for you and that benefit you and that improve your understanding of this world, of this realm. But either way, you will always learn something, okay? And for me, I always said it's important, the mind state that you have when you're seeking a teacher, when you're meeting a teacher, when you're going in a group, or then you're seeking to learn more about magic or practices and stuff like that, or different traditions and systems. The mindset that you go with and the intention that you go with is very, very important, and that I cannot stress that enough. There's a lot of relationships that you may establish with entities and deities and what have you, that will serve or disserve you based on the intention that you have. And the intention that you have is not the one you're proclaiming on YouTube or whatever. It's really the intention that's deep seek within yourself. Is the intention that we can see when no one is looking, how you behave, what you say, and things like that. So there's no need to say, oh, you know, my intentions are good, because your intention will depend on each situation, each moment, each time you go and do a practice or a ritual. It's at that moment that the intention matters, and it's not what you're saying to other people. It's truly what you can hide to the invisible, if you like. And so if you are seeking to learn about magic in order to exploit, in order to, you know, enrich yourself in a financial kind of way, let's say you're desperate and you need money and you're doing magic for that, or you're doing rituals for that, it's the same intention, it's the same vibration that you're gonna see in your outcome. And I think I've mentioned this in other videos. If you're doing it, if you're anything that you are acquiring solely based on magic, will require magic to maintain it to the same state that you acquired it. So, and I think there's not that many people who don't tell you this aspect. If you are seeking to manipulate somebody, a man to be with, or a woman, or what have you, that doesn't naturally gravitate towards you or doesn't like you, then you will have to keep doing the same thing forever, because you are basically influencing that person. And then, you know, there are ways where the person can awaken, the person can move away from you, can realize that, can start protecting themselves. The person also, higher self or intuition, may be telling them there's something that's not right in this relationship. They may start being abusive towards you if you do that. So just be very, very careful with what kind of mindset you go in. There's a big difference between, let's say you just lost your job, your rent is due, and you have bills and what have you. There's a big difference between you seeking assistance with being able to provide for your family or being able to care for your family without taking anything in, without necessarily, how can I put this? Without having that greediness, that greed behind it. One way to avoid that greed is what I've always told you about gratitude, even in the worst situation, you can be grateful for your health, you can be grateful for your children, you can be grateful for people who have helped you in the past. You have that vibration of energy of gratefulness in saying, I know I'm in in a tricky, sticky situation, but I know it will be resolved. It will be resolved because I'm so grateful to just be here, to have this experience, to know that you can even to experience the appearance of lack, knowing that it will all come back and harmonize, and seeking harmony, because you know that you're not put in this world to suffer, that you will encounter challenges, but the default state is not suffer, it's a neutral state, a state where you're able to live and exist just like every other being that's created in this world. The birds are not stressed about paying bills for their nest. So it's that kind of a intention that you need and vibration that you need to be, especially when you're going into a ritual, because anytime you're desperate for something, and I've seen it time and time again, it's not going to end well. Even if you obtain whatever you are seeking, it's not going to end well. And this leads me to there always has to be an even exchange. We learn this all the time. Energy does not just come to you, it comes from somewhere before it gets to you. Okay? When you're calling on a ritual, you're seeking something, that energy is coming from somewhere. That means it's creating a void somewhere else. And that means as there are void other places, when there's a void, something's going to come to fill it. So because energy is always in movement, it's coming to you, then it's going over there, and whatever. When you seek something, you are taking it from somewhere. When you're calling something to you, conjuring, asking for something, you're taking it from somewhere. It's coming from somewhere. Whether it's coming from the divine, infinite source, or it's coming from nature. And this leads me to the discussion about the elements. And I'm only saying this because I've seen so many new practitioners, and I say new is because those are people who have been practicing less than 10 years, or no more than 10 years, or maybe 15 top. And I see this trend on social media of people advising you or suggesting to you that you can just use the element however you want, however you like. And I've also heard a lot of to me, what's misuse of chaos magic. Yeah, let me start with the elements. Wherever people are practicing spirituality, if you see in the tradition, and I'm talking about the traditions that have been there for centuries and that are still here now, because you see, anyone can practice any form of tradition, any form of spirituality or system, occult system, mystical system, etc. But the point is this something that's going to last for time? Is this something that's going to lead you to some disaster? Because we know some civilization that just disappeared because of what was going on there. So when you look at the traditions that are currently still here and have been here for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years, thousands and thousands of generations that have been testing those rituals, testing those, I'm not going to call them spells, but testing those rituals and testing those different workings. The key is always harmony with nature. It's always balance. You don't just take without giving in return. There's always going to be a balance. So the balance always will be reestablished, no matter who you are, no matter how think you're good, how good you think you are, and everything like that. And this is something that when you look at a lot of different movies on magic, especially Western movies, if you're looking at the Harry Potter series, a lot of those different shows that talk about magic, the craft, whatever, they're only showing you the practitioner taking. You're using a plant, you're using this, you're using that, you're taking from nature, you're taking from around you, but they never give anything in return. And that is a recipe to call on to attract more problem to you. If you go and you use an herb, and this ties into so many different things, so I'm going to try to stay focused because it ties into so many different things. Um, when you are using a plant that you didn't care for, okay, a plant that when you receive a plant or you buy a plant, let's just say you buy it, okay, you buy a plant from someone else, so someone else planted this plant or went to forage it or went to package it to dry it and whatever. Someone else put most of the energy into it. You just come in and you say, here's $10, give me my 1 pound bag or whatever, and you take the plant to you and you just start doing your working with it. You just start doing it, or you start working it however you want to work it. What happens is that you have not contributed anything in return. You paid for the shipping, you paid for somebody else's blood and sweat and work, but when you're doing the ritual, you yourself are not contributing anything. Okay, you're asking basically for the plant, for whatever you put together that's required for your ritual, your practice. You're asking them to do the work that where you are not personally involved up to that point, and you're only involved at that point because you seek something, because you're seeking a result at the very least. Okay, so there is an imbalance that's created there. And what happened is that if you keep taking and taking and taking and taking and taking and taking and taking, at some point something will be asked of you in return. And the thing is that you will never know when, what, and the amount that will be asked of you in return. And it will always be asked of you. It will always be asked of you. I don't care what people say in terms of saying, oh, just stay positive or just this and that and that. It's this the same way. One day your body will die. Your body, not you, your body will die, and your body will return back to the earth. And when it returns back to the earth, it will feed the earth. It will feed the earth in terms of decomposing and other insects, animal, plants feeding onto it. So this is something that's inevitable. You can, unless you want to use all that kind of crappy technology nowadays to freeze your body or whatever. But the natural state of things is that your body will decompose and you will return to what it used to be, and and you'll come back again through someone else. Okay, and that energy, that feeding that your body is doing to the earth is going back to give nutrients to the earth, giving back soil, and providing for thousands and thousands of bacteria, microorganisms, insects, and what have you. Okay, and depending on how you died, also it could be also vultures and birds and all kind of animals feeding into your body, feeding on your body. I don't want to be graphic here. But the point is that for the life force that you get at the beginning, your body that you used is returned back to the earth. Okay, just like for other plants, other animals, it's just a cycle. Okay, so when you're doing magic, you're taking and you're not giving back. And sometimes you're taking without even, in a chaotic kind of way, you're taking without knowing what's your space in this ritual, knowing what's your space in this tradition. And a lot of people who just learned by watching YouTube videos or whatever, who don't have somebody to teach them, or somebody, an elder, grounded in one of those ancient traditions, because there's plenty of new traditions. Everything that's dealing with the occult, most of what is called and referred to as the occult is part of it's often refers to as the New Age. That's the New Age. The older age, the ancient age, are the traditions that have been here for thousands and thousands of years, that don't require you hurting somebody else to get information or to see the occult. And I'll get to that in later on. But what I want to stress to you is that when you take, you have to return. You have to give. It has to be a proper balanced exchange for you not to ever have to look at your shoulder wondering, did all of the work that I've done, or did all the things that I've done put me in a bad way. And this is also why when you go to see someone to do workings for you, and these workings involve manipulation, involve tricking somebody else or whatever else, demanding something that you haven't rightfully earned, even protection that you rightfully doesn't deserve because you attack somebody, now you're seeking somebody else to do work to get protection. there are things that the practitioner oftentimes is telling you that they're doing this work under your name, so that the practitioner is not involved. It's kind of like using a tool, a knife, a glass to drink, whatever else. But because the practitioner is doing this under your name, it's as if you were doing it yourself. Okay? That means whatever consequences are going to come, they're going to come to you. And I think the practitioners who do workings for others sometimes fail to tell or to stress the importance of you knowing that there's going to be consequences for that. And I think it's important for you to understand that there are consequences for that. And the bigger thing you're trying to get, the bigger the consequences as well. It's proportionate. You're not going to have a full blast to yourself for something that's really small that you did. It's always going to be proportionate. So I just want you to be... you don't even need to be scared. This is not a video made to scare you. This is a video to make you more in tune with your own mental state and your own awareness of what we are here to do as spiritual being, custodian of this body, custodian of the world around us. And that especially as a melanated person, wherever you go in the world, you continue to be a custodian. So stealing, doing arson, harming other people, harming nature and stuff like that is going to come at a cost to you. And a higher cost than it will come to some other people who are less melanated to you, because we have a lot more condutive essence when we talk about energy, when we talk about even the frequency that we can reach. So for you, something disgraceful could drop your vibration much lower than someone else because of the heightened state of melanin that's within you, but also because of the higher standard that's placed on you. And I know you're going to be, oh, it's not fair. Like, it is fair, because as much as you get power, you also get the responsibility that matches that power that comes along with it, that you cannot detach it from. So seek harmony and balance in whatever you do. Do not take without giving or expecting to give. And also sometimes think about, is it really necessary? Is what you're trying to do really necessary? Sometimes we rush to rituals or to seek certain things because we're desperate, because we're scared. And as I've told you, acting while we're scared, acting out of fear, very seldomly leads to good results. Very seldomly. You can, maybe being afraid of gaining weight will get you to the gym and will get you to work out. But it doesn't work on most people, on a lot of people. And ultimately, if you're doing that, you still keeping the vibration of fear within yourself. And that vibration sometimes it starts seeping through the other aspects of your life. When that fear comes to one door that you've opened, then this fear starts seeping through other aspects if you don't address it. If you don't face what you are scared of and address it in a more positive way. Instead of running away from something that you're scared, move towards something that you prefer, that you love, that you'd rather be. So instead of being scared of gaining too much weight, move towards maintaining the weight that you love, towards reaching the weight that you want to. There's a subtle but important difference there. And be careful what you tell others to do, because you have a part of your words, you have part of a responsibility in there. So just be cognizant of that. This is why, usually they say when the time comes for you to teach, it's because you have acquired a wealth of knowledge that is needed. If you're not called to be teaching and you just want to share, then you need to say that, I'm dipping and dabbling in this. and for me, this is something I wouldn't necessarily recommend. Because if you dip in and dabble in things that you don't fully understand, and you're sharing that to other people that may try the same thing, they may be in trouble. And if they come back to you, you are no help to them. But you're the one who told them, okay, you can do this and do that, and I found, so many great results. And when it backfires on someone else because you don't know the vibration of that person, you don't know where they live, the other spiritual aspects that within their life, or their place, the neighborhood or what have you, and you just, you know, telling them, oh, people should be doing this, this is great or whatever, this worked for me. And if something happens to them, they come back to you and you are unable to tell them, okay, this is what you should be doing, because you don't have the experience, you don't have that knowledge. So just be cognizant of that you are responsible for your words, you are responsible for what you share, what you tell other people that they can or they cannot do. Now, to get to what I was mentioning, there is this trend about chaos magic, chaos ritual, or you know, dabbling in the chaos in order to get what you want faster. Again, like I said, the plants take time to grow. The energy that's coming to you takes time to come. It takes time for that energy, for whatever you want to manifest, to come, depending on how big what you want is. And sometimes we'll say, if something is really small, why don't you just do it yourself? What do you need a ritual for? So sometimes there are times when there's no workings that are actually needed. You just need to do it yourself because you have the ability, the capability to do it. And it could be because you're just lazy, you just want to, you know, cut corners and things like that. And those are not good things. Cutting corners never led to something good. Imagine you want to buy a couch, and the person who was building the couch cut corners, you sit on it, and then it just fell through, it falls apart. Because some corners have been cut, the quality is not good, etc., etc. You wouldn't want something that was made with somebody cutting corners, okay? Sorry. So I was saying that you don't want anything that was made by cutting corners, maybe unless it's made by a master, somebody who masters their craft, because they're not cutting corners the same way you would, to be, you know, to save the money to use cheap quality stuff. They may be cutting corner in different ways that can get the same result with the same quality, okay? Because you perfect things as you go on, and you may be able to save time when you find a better technique that doesn't sacrifice the quality or the result of what you do, intensity or the result of what you want to reach, okay? So I just seen that trend, and with that trend of people telling you, you know, you can take however you want, you can use the elemental, you can use water however you feel, however you want, you can use air or anything, any of the elementals, water, air, earth, fire, ether, prana, whatever you call it, you can use it however you want. And I'm telling you that it's not the case. Even when you breathe, you breathing in air, but you also breathing out something. So there's an output from you to the universe, to the world. This output, the trees are going to take their carbon dioxide and they're going to transform it or whatever. So there's a give and take. You're not just inhaling everything and not giving anything back. Okay, so this is a very like a basic principle. And I think some people, they may have practiced for years and they just don't know this basic principle, or that they just don't care about knowing it. So if you're taking water for your rituals and you're just wasting water, you're just wasting water, you're wasting air, you're wasting fire, you're basically abusing it, because you're not giving anything in return. You become a parasite, basically. You're using the water doesn't get anything from you. And you don't use it, you don't understand the importance of the water as an element. It's not something that's just there for you to use. It's not just for you, your person. It's there to use for the entire ecosystem of the planet. And this is why, for example, in my salt bath, I've talked about why people will do salt bath with a bucket versus a full tub. Because you have to be coherent to use the amount of water that's required, to use the amount of earth or the amount of air or the amount of fire that is required for your working. And I keep saying this, it's not the more you use and the better, the stronger the working is going to be. You have to use what is required, not more, not less of course, but not more. And until you start putting in your hand that water needs to be treated a certain way, you know that the essence of water. Water has all of those elements basically have a vibration, they have a consciousness of their own. People be scrying in fire, in water, even in air. You could also be having messages through the wind when you're listening to the wind that's blowing around among the leaves. You can have air. All of those elements can bring you messages, can give you information, can answer questions that you may have. So it's not like sometimes I hear people saying, oh, you don't really need air, so it's a lesser of an element, or the earth is just there for you to be taking it into using anyhow, however you want, however you think. The same thing when you go to a graveyard and you just take the earth that's there, the graveyard, just because you want to do something, just because, and you don't factor in the harmonious, the exchange that needs to be taking place between you and an element that you're taking. And I mean, I have to tell you, over the years I've seen so many different practitioners that were asserting this, and they were being so adamant about knowing about that they can use the element however they like, and there's no consequences. And they will tell in the videos, you can do this, don't listen to people who are saying, it may come back to you, it may backfire, they're lying and stuff like that. And look, I'm doing it, everything is fine. And to me, I've looked at these people and I just, I let them be, because each person is on their own path. But I let them be, knowing that this is not only a misunderstanding of what, magic is, because magic is simply being in harmony with nature. That's what magic truly is. The reason why you can do certain things with some of the elements, with those different elements, and have different results, is because you harmonize yourself with those elements. Because your end goal is also in harmony. You are accepted the balance that will come from what you're doing. And it's even better when what you're doing is actually in harmony with the greater good of all, in harmony with the greater consciousness of the universe. But to get back with what you are doing. So I've observed those people, and I let them be, and everything that, and all of them, without exception. And if you on YouTube and you've been watching around, you know this already. All of them had like I said, we all have challenges in life. The difference when the challenges are so extreme, so brutal, in ways where you yourself and those people as practitioners don't even see it coming, or don't even know how to grasp or face it, and sometimes you're disarmed against it because of the debt that you have, because of the things, the way you've been practicing for X amount of years. And this is the same principle. Sometimes people will tell me, what good it is to be a good person, when I see all of those evil people around me, all of the people doing evil and getting away with it. And what you don't understand is that the harmony, the karma, or the balance, ma'at, the justice, is not based on your eyes. And certainly not based on what you think you're seeing. Okay? You will always pay for what you take, and that doesn't belong to you, that was not intended for you, and that you did not balance or did an even exchange. You will always pay. There's no such thing as something that is completely free. Okay, there has to be some exchange at some point for you to obtain something. And if anybody is telling you, oh, do this and that's going to be free, that means you're going to be paying a hefty price. Especially if you don't know what the price is, that means it's going to be hefty. And it may even be a price that unfortunately you may not be able to pay. And that's when you fall into things that are generational. Your grandfather did something and took so much that now his descendants have to pay that back. That's why knowing your lineage is important. That's why what you are trying to do something, looking at all the components and also seeking fairness into it. That's why when you steal from someone, you demean somebody else, or you hurt somebody for no reason, there's always going to be a back pay behind that. And you can see it. The people you thought are, they were doing all this evil thing, the people who basically, there was a promotion and this person was doing this with the boss and whatever else and got the promotion and you didn't get it. And then you move on to, either there could be ways where you move on, there's another opportunity for you to leave that company and go somewhere else, where you're much happier, much better, whatever you, or then you will see the downfall of that person later on. But don't be so focused on you doing the justice of it, because you need to be focused on your own path, on you making the right decision in every single circumstances to the best of your abilities. And that's always that when you are doing it to the best of your abilities, your heart will say that it was to the best of your abilities in that particular situation. So it's not what you can come and say, well, this and that. It's truly how your heart is in that moment. Was it the best of your abilities or not? And most of the time, you know if it was the best or not. You know, because it's about when no one is watching, when no one cares about what you can say, what you can tell. And, it kind of saddens me because this could have been simply avoided. I don't know where people come with this notion where you can just take from things, you can just take things from other people or take things from nature for your own personal gain and not reap some form of consequences, from some form of restitution or balance of it. If it happens to you, if something is being taken from you, always know that if it happens, it's most of the time, if this happened to you, that means most of the time there's something better for you. And this is why you can see people like this is why you can see people whose car was broken into or house was broken into and some of their most precious possession was stolen. And your attitude, your vibration, your frequency at that moment is what may determine the sequence of things that will come after that. Somebody may just say, they took this from you, maybe you have insurance, so you're going to be laid back, you're going to be okay, I'm just going to process the claim and get a refund, go get me a new computer if that was what was stolen from you. But some people may get really, really angry. They may be getting angry that they start cursing out or being mean to people who have nothing to do with that. They start being so disappointed that this starts spiraling down, basically. They're going to be seeking, to do this ritual and that, all kind of different stuff. And what they're doing, basically, is adding on to that negativity that started. And this is why we say practicing meditation, practicing calming our emotion, being able to observe the emotion that we go through, so not repressing or suppressing what we're going through. It's normal to feel angry when your house has been broken into. It's normal to feel angry or sad when something that you poured yourself to has been taken from you, has been stolen, or what have you. It's completely normal. Observe those different emotions, and then always fall back to, yes, but I still have my health. I still have my family that loves me. I still have my children. I still have so much love around me, and I will prefer for that love and that frequency to prevail. Maybe there was something that was not meant for me at that time to have that particular computer, or that particular item. And it's just letting that element go, and even saying, let justice be done, let harmony and balance be done. Because sometimes this may have happened to you because of something you did in the past. In a lot of consultation, a lot of people always think that when something negative happened to them, they focus on the person who did it. When they know who did it, they focus on that person, but they never ask themselves, maybe I did this to somebody else in the past. In relationships, you currently you are with somebody who's neglecting you, who's not acting the way you would want to be treated in a relationship, but then you ignore the fact that you've done this to someone else in the past, and you just basically just reaping those same feelings. So now you're going to be in a better position to understand when you were doing it to this other person, this is how they may have felt. And so however you react to it, however you manage that, becomes very crucial and important for you not to create more of that negativity. And so I really wanted for you to if you aspire to, you know, understand a tradition or even your own tradition, especially for youth, if you are reconnecting with your own tradition and you are seeking to understand it, and you wanted to do practices here and there, first I will say find a teacher, learn from a teacher in an environment, because the teacher will know what, based on how you are, based on their relationship with you, they will know what they can teach you, what level you are, to not give you more than you can chew. And I think, and I hope that they will do a fully thorough assessment in terms of telling you in what state of mind you should be doing when you're doing in a ritual. And a lot of teachers also, at some point, depending on when you are, depending on your preparation, at some point they will tell you to grow your own plants. The plants that you use for your workings, they will tell you to grow them, because it increases also the potency of that plant when you're using it for your workings or your practice, because you poured into that specific plant, because you already established a relationship with that plant or that element or that item. Okay, making the item yourself, you're pouring in your own energy, your own vibration into it, so it becomes something that's stronger. And this is also sometimes why when somebody's doing an amulet, a talisman, or even what do you call a mojo bag or a grady, something like that, sometimes they will ask you something from you to even make the whatever they're making stronger, so that thing has your vibration, has your energy at that time. Sometimes they will ask that. Sometimes if you're already negative, they will something that's not clear in your aura, they're not going to ask that, because you don't want that to be part of the workings, and you don't want that to interfere basically with the protection or the enhancement that's being provided to you through the talisman or the amulet. So just be cognizant of those different things. That ask, if you buy amulets, a talisman, or gregory, or mojo bag, or whatever it is, just be a little bit curious. Ask that person what is her process, so you can better understand where your energy is being called to and what you're getting involved in. Because I know in the age of quick, we just want the result. We don't sometimes even care about what the process was, and that is a big mistake. Saying I want this result no matter what the cost is not a good thing to do. So I hope you just take heed of these little nuggets. Respect the elements, you know, and it's also important to understand that the spiritual is not separate from the material world. I know people have this tendency of saying, you know, when I'm in my robe for this particular ritual, this particular thing, then I'm in a different state of mind, whatever else, and then I take off the robe and I go back to the mundane and I'm just like a regular person. That's not how the spiritual works. Especially not just subconscious, because when you are doing that working, your subconscious is there and it's still going to be there no matter where you're going. So understand that you are a spiritual person now, even without the robe and your fancy name or whatever nickname or magical name, quote unquote, that you want to give yourself. Even when you don't call yourself that, you still are that thing. And that's why you have to be careful in what you call yourself or what you are doing, because it's never compartmentalized like that. And some of us who are in the mundane, we can see through you. We can see you. You don't need to be wearing the robe for us to be able to see you, or for us to be able to sense your vibration, or something that in your energy, in your aura, and all of that. So I'm not sure. To me, I want to believe that this is a misconception, that most people who are not providing that information either don't know about it or don't care enough to know. I would rather not want to think that this is being done on purpose to mislead people, because the more you're doing it, the more you attract to you, and the more issues you may have. But I do know that in a lot of circles this is not even being taught, or even the contrary is being taught, that you can take, however, you can burn a whole forest and think you're getting away with it because you were doing your little ritual. And that is not true. Nature will always know who's done what. We talk to the land, we talk to the trees, we talk to the environment. the environment knows, the environment when you've done that, they will know and will know you. And like I said, your custodian. Anything that's coming into your hands, be grateful that it's there. Have that little gratitude for even the person who let it grow, who watched it grow, who nurtured it to grow, or even for the sun, for the elements that were present to help that particular thing grow that you want to use. Be in tune with that thing. That's why I often tell you, when you receive something, do not rush to just use it. Spend some time with that thing, no matter what it is. Even in your apothecary, if you're not growing your own plants and everything like that, spend time in that room. It's a great place for you to pray or to inject your energy, to talk to those things. All of those things that you're accumulating in your apothecary, talk to those different things. Have a grander purpose of why they're there. Hello friends, you're here to help me keep my family healthy, to help me keep my community healthy. We work together. I'm here to work with you so that we work together to help people keep a state of well-being. Establish that relationship so you're not somebody who just takes and never give in return. It doesn't end well for this type of behavior unless you are willing to be on the run all the time because of what's going to be coming for you or coming towards you. So I just wanted to tell you that portion. The same, I don't want to call anybody out, but I just say if your magical practice is not working, has been struggling, or you had to stop because it wasn't going well, revisit what you were doing. Revisit your attitude, revisit your relationship that you have with the elements. And no matter what other people tell you, you need to have a relationship with the elements in order to use them. Okay? There are a group of people who have this mindset that they can just go wherever and take whatever without even trying to understand what it is. Without even asking themselves, is it even necessary for you to do this ritual? And I know a lot of people do not even ask themselves that. They just think, okay, yeah, I need money, I'm going to do this money ritual or whatever. But I don't even ask myself, is it necessary? And this comes from people from all walkways, Muslim, Christian, atheist, You'll be surprised what type of people are walking into or doing kind of things behind closed doors that they afterwards pretend that doesn't exist, but they're doing it. Or they're seeking workings from other people to do it. And they'll be sitting next to you in church, they'll be sitting to you, going to the mosque with you or whatever, So yeah, I wanted to make sure you have that, especially those of you. Some of you have been following me over the years, have been improving on your own magical practice. And while I don't want to be preachy because my path is my path, no one can come onto my path because my path requires me to honor my own ancestors. Your path will require you to honor your own ancestors. So this is why sometimes, I've had people being upset when I tell them that, the Banike tradition is not a religion. You don't convert. You cannot convert and join because it's not also a code that I can take off and say, hey, I'm no longer a Bamileke. This is in my blood, this is in who I am, and I cannot change who my ancestors are. I cannot change who my parents are, I cannot change who my grandparents are, no matter who they were and what they did. And I think before you think you can just jump from, wherever you are, whatever belief you or whatever tradition you are, before you think you can just jump off, thinking your ancestor, this is not being disrespectful to your own ancestors, because some of you, your ancestors have shown such resilience in their own path, so you could be there, so you could get there and enjoy whatever life you're enjoying now. And for you to just say you want to jump to a different tradition where you're going to start honoring, or even some of you worshiping the ancestors of somebody else, without even acknowledging your own ancestor, is a problem. Is a big problem. You can always honor other people, because even for me, I have other people that have been so supporting, so helpful, so loving. They're not part of my own tradition, they're not part of my own family or my ancestors lineage, and I can honor them in so many different ways. So from my tradition, from my perspective, you can always add on. That means you can have a Dominican person who's also a Christian, who's also going to church, and who's also believing in Jesus and honoring Jesus and his teaching in some shape or form, okay? Or Muslim or whatever thing. Our tradition is not restrictive. You can add on to it so long as you keep the link with your own ancestors. So you can still honor, walk as a dignified person in the world and honoring the generation that came before you so you could be there, and adhere to whatever belief that can serve you at the time or whatever belief you simply being called to. However, this is not the case with religion. A lot of religion are mutually exclusive or prone to exclusivity, that you cannot be something else. You have to be part of that little cocoon, that little rules. So, but if you are looking into following your own ancestral tradition and lineage, or even going into other traditions, is, you know, it's also a means of an innate protection to have your own ancestors who cherish and love you, accompany you wherever else you're going. That will also help you help prevent that you enter a cult or some particular religion or organization and be abused in that. Because if you go in there and you keep honoring you had a relationship with your own ancestor, and if you you go into something that's going to be not good for you, and they already warned you, most of the time they've already warned you in some way, shape or form, but you still go in there, you have some form of protection. It's not an ultimate bulletproof protection, but it's still a little bit of protection from there because they're with you, versus you just cutting your own lineage and going into someone else's lineage where you have no affinity, no form of. And that's why I made a video about the 3 ways of entering the Dominican tradition, which is basically either you're born into it, you adopted into it. That means an elder from the tradition is taking you in and teaching you as if you're taking you as a child, basically, and teaching you things from the tradition, or you marry into the tradition. And those are the only 3 ways I know of, okay? There's no, because you partake of the ritual doesn't make you Bamileke. You can do everything that another person that's Bamileke is doing. You can come to the village, honor the ancestors or whatever else. This does not make you part of the Bamileke tradition. It makes you Bamileke adjacent. It makes you a supporter of the Bamileke tradition. It may even make you a custodian of certain rites and traditions, but it doesn't make you a Bamileke. And we should be fine. We should be fine, because if you come to anyone's house, if my child brings a friend home, I'm going to say hello, I'm going to take care of the child, and I will all the time about who are your parents, where are you coming from? And so you understand that if you have some disdain, whatever it is, towards your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, or what have you, that's going to have an impact on the relationship you're going to have towards other people, or how other people are going to look at you. How can you come and want to honor my ancestors, my grandfather, when you're spitting on the grave of your ancestor or your own grandfather? Because no one is perfect. There's not an ancestor that was perfect, that did everything perfect. And what is required and asked of us is that we do the best we can. And if you cannot see, sometimes when you look at someone else's parent or grandparent or ancestor, you may start idolizing them and thinking, oh, you know, they have a better grandfather. When they will tell you, no, my grandfather has flaws, but I love him despite those flaws. Okay, he remains my grandfather whether he has flaws or not. However big his flaws may be, he's still my grandfather. He's part of my lineage. Okay. So for you to be thinking, oh no, I'm not going to honor my grandmother because she was really mean to me, or she was mean to my mom, or she was mean to me sometimes, she didn't want to give me what I wanted. And you thinking that someone else's grandmother is just perfect on the line. No one is perfect. Sometimes it requires you to also look at your own genealogy, your own ancestry, and accept the flaws and the greater qualities of each of those people, and also trying to understand it based on the context where they were brought up. Some people would do things because that's how they were brought up, not necessarily because that's what they believed in or that's what they wanted to do. So the same grace that you will extend to a stranger, to your friends, sometimes you have to turn around and extend it to your own family, to your own lineage, to your own ancestors. Yeah. So I'll stop this here with that. Of course, if you have questions, please let me know. I am going to start doing a little bit more videos on the different subjects because I have so much that came in terms of practicing and all of that, and messages that I will do in a separate videos. So thank you so much for having been with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.